Hello friends, I just got home from work. I'm not feeling my best. I feel a migraine coming on. But the thing is I really want to read. I want to have an evening of reading. It's Saturday. I work Tuesday through Saturdays. So Saturday, Jared goes and plays D&D, and a lot of times when I come home, he's not home yet. And I got off a little bit early today because I have to do an event for the library tomorrow. But I want to have this evening of just reading and hanging out, and I think I'm gonna order something. I was thinking pizza, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's the move. I don't know, but I want to get something. Ooh, what if I get ramen? It was sprinkling earlier today, so ramen or pho would really hit right now. It would really hit right now. I think that's more of what I need than pizza. Yes, you're right. So yeah, it's 5:30, and I think I'm gonna order something right now, because I would like to have an early dinner so that I can actually go to bed at a decent time. The thing is I haven't been going to bed at a not decent time. I just haven't really been sleeping through the night again. We're back to this. The not sleeping well and not sleeping through the night, it's back. My toxic trait lives again, and it's just lack of sleep. So I think I'm gonna do like an early-ish dinner and just relax tonight, and I wanna play a game. And I was thinking about getting Fantasy Life. I don't know. I don't really know what I want to get. However, I went on Instagram last night and I put up a poll because I've been having decision fatigue. And who even knows? Who even knows if I'm going to do this? But I put up a poll. I put up this poll right here where Fitzy is forcing you to pick a book for me to start. And I have 3 books on here with 3 emojis. The emojis literally mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing. I just assigned these books to those emojis and you voted. The votes are in. Drum roll, please. The winner is The Maple Leaf, which that's not really surprising, actually. That's not surprising at all. But we're reading If It Makes You Happy. We're gonna try to read it. I'm not fully in the mood for contemporary romance, but I'm also in a place where I'm like not in the mood for anything. So that's a struggle. That is a struggle. I'm in the mood for everything and nothing all at the same time. I don't know if you've experienced that, but that's the energy, that's the vibe that we're bringing to this video. And we're just gonna do what we normally do and spend the weekend together because I like spending the weekend with you. I love it. It's a good time, us, you and I, hanging out on the weekends. So there will probably be baking. I do want to, where did it go? Where did he put it? Where did Marjorie go? Well, I guess I'm not baking bread because the starter's in the fridge. The starter's in the fridge. So I need to get the starter back up and going so that I can bake bread next week. But this week, I'm for sure gonna be baking cookies. And I want to bake something challenging, I think. So I was considering trying to do like a scone from scratch because the scones that I've done in the past, I had like a mix. But I was thinking of doing scones or something of that sort. I also really want to try to make a cinnamon, not a cinnamon bun, but like a morning bun. But I was kind of hoping to do that with like the sourdough starter. So I probably won't do that this time around. Although it could be good to like get used to doing it. And one thing that I'm really trying to work my confidence up to is making like a croissant. A croissant. I'm really wanting to try to make a croissant. So that's the vibes. I don't know. If I don't play a game, I will be doing all of my little puzzles because you know that I have my word search. I have my Sudoku, which I'm really heavily getting into Sudoku. Still suck at it. I'm still not good at it, but I have it and I keep trying. And I have my Myrtle, but I don't have the regular Myrtle. It's like this other offshoot version of it. I can show it to you at another point in time. But yeah, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna get unready. Maybe I'll take a little shower. Maybe I'll order my food, take a little shower, unwind, relax, and just have myself an evening. I'm back on my Stardew Valley shit. Like, I restarted my Stardew Valley. It's so loud. Restarted I almost called it my island. This is an Animal Crossing. I restarted my farm and I kind of like obsessed with it again. It's so cozy. It's so cozy and it's so fitting for this time of the year. So I think I'm just gonna play a little Stardew and listen to my audiobook. My food should be here in like 30 minutes and then I'll probably watch Nobody Wants This because I'm very obsessed with that show right now. Very obsessed. I'm 4 episodes in and I love it. I love it so much. But I'm excited to dive into this book because I think this will also be a really cozy, nice time. And it's set in the 90s, which I don't think I realized that. I thought it was 90s inspired, but it's actually set in 1997. So this is kind of fun because I don't think I've read a contemporary romance that hasn't been set in more modern times where people have like phones and Uber exists and like the internet is heavily used and referenced, you know what I mean? So I'm very excited.
Train ride just to see you, ride for hours just to please you. You don't know how much I need you, 'cause you're my home away from home, away from home, away from being alone. I did the same just for you. You don't know how much I love you, 'cause you're my home away from home, away from home, away from being alone.
So it's actually the following evening. It's now Sunday. I have had a busy day, but also a really nice day. So I ended up having to work today on Sunday, which I normally don't do. I think I kind of talked about this yesterday, but I was helping run an event that we were going to be tabling at, which just means that we have like a whole booth there and we're interacting with people. And I was supposed to do one of the 2 shifts, and then it was looking like maybe I was going to do both of the shifts. I only ended up having to do one of the shifts, and so I was there from 1 to 5:30. But before I had to be there, I ended up having like a really nice morning with Jared. I woke up at 8 and we immediately went on a morning walk, and it was quite a long walk actually, and it was really nice out. The weather was gorgeous today. When we got home, got ready, and then we went to this like coffee shop and had some treats there, and then had a little breakfast at home, and then went to the bookstore, and we saw Kitty at the bookstore. It was so funny. She walked in and we immediately were like, oh my god. It's actually so hilarious to me that her and I don't see each other more at the bookstore because we both go to the same bookstore all the time. And somehow this was the first time that we've ever accidentally, was it accidental or was it destiny? But this is the first time that we've like actually ran into each other at the bookstore without knowing the other person was going to be there. And then I went to the event and tabled at the event, and the event was so nice. It was such a great time. If you don't know, I recently did this like library art contest, and the winner was announced last month, or the beginning of this month, I guess. I don't really know what time is for me currently, but anyway, it was announced at the beginning of September. And we've been heavily promoting these new cards, and we got to sign people up and get them these brand new cards at the event, and it was so exciting just to see how excited everyone was about the art and the winner, and then to also just like know that I created this cool thing and people are also excited about it. And also Mo and Christine ended up showing up and saying hey, and then some of my coworkers who weren't working that day, who I'm really good friends with, came and said hi, and that was really nice. And then Jared came and said hi, and he helped me like clean up and take the van back to the library with all of the stuff in it. And then Jared and I went to dinner, and it was just been like a really nice day. I have not read a single page. I have not glanced at a book, not listened to a book, but it is like 9 o'clock right now, and I think I'm just gonna get ready for bed and get really cozy and continue listening to the name of the book. The name of the book. I keep wanting to call it It Happened One Fall. If it makes you happy. Currently on chapter 4. Well, I guess halfway through chapter 4. That's probably where I fell asleep last night. So I will definitely be restarting chapter 4. But the first 3 chapters have been good. They've been really atmospheric. It definitely feels like fall. It definitely feels like the 90s. And currently, that's all I can ask for. I'm just hoping that as we get further into it, I get really attached to these characters and see the chemistry. They haven't really met. They're setting up the circumstances of our female main character. She is inheriting her mother's bed and breakfast. Her mother recently passed away. It seems that things have been upended in her life generally beyond her mom passing away, and this is something that she needs and wants. So I'm interested to see like what her full story is and why she wanted to move to the small town. And then the male main character, he is divorced and he has a daughter, and his daughter's been acting out, and he seems to be feeling generally very lost. However, he also owns a bakery, if I remember correctly, and he gives pastries or like has some sort of relationship where he gives a lot of baked goods to the bed and breakfast that our female main character is going to be running. So that's like the gist of what I remember. Poorly remember, but I'm hoping that it gives me Stars Hollow vibes. I think that it will, specifically based on the cover alone. But also like it being set in the 90s, I think it's gonna feel very nostalgic, and I've been in a very nostalgic mood. I guess Halloween and the fall do this to me generally, and I've talked about it before, like why I love the fall and Halloween so much. And I was trying to explain it to my friend the other day, and the conclusion that I came to, as I've come to many years before, is that it's very nostalgic. But I think further, it is the one holiday where there's no expectations, at least in my life and most of my friends' life. There's no expectations for you to travel to go see family. There's no expectations to do anything with family. I mean, I guess unless you have kids, maybe. But like, I don't know, it's just one of those holidays that feels a little bit freeing, where you can do whatever you want. And I really love that vibe, because holidays can be really stressful due to having to see family or wanting to see family and just traveling and all of that. But Halloween, you don't have to do that, baby. You can get dressed up and be as silly goofy as you want. But also, there's just something like nostalgic about the fall in general, like new beginnings, starting school, that vibe. Even though I haven't been in school for like 5 years now, it still has that hold on me. It still has a grasp on me. I don't know if it'll ever go away. I actually don't want it to go away. I really like this nostalgic feeling. Anyway, those are the vibes. I'm gonna get cozy. Good morning. Funny, I fell asleep fine. Got into bed around 9 after I talked to y'all, and I promptly fell asleep. Like, I actually fell asleep very quickly. Didn't get a lot of pages in, and then I woke up at 2:22 a.m. and I just could not fall asleep, so I ended up putting in my headphones and listening to more of the book, and I probably listened to 2 hours of it before I fell back asleep. So this book is really growing on me. I think when I started listening to it later in the night or morning, however you want to look at it, I started to become more fond of the romance and the story and these characters. However, I just don't know that I care about the characters getting together. I care a lot about other things that are happening. So our female main character, Michelle, I told you that she's moving to the small town. She's kind of upending her whole life after her mother passed away, but there was more to her story that I didn't know yet. And what we find out is that Michelle is divorced, and she found out that her husband was cheating on her with someone who was younger than her. And he makes the claim that if she hadn't been so distant and so cold and shut off, that this would have never happened. Typical man. But on top of that, there's a little more complication regarding her mother's death, because her and her mother never really connected in life. They never really had that mother-daughter relationship that she sees her sister has. And as a matter of fact, her little sister is the one who inherited the bed and breakfast, but she's still trying to finish school. She has one more semester, and then she can come take over the bed and breakfast. So instead, Michelle ends up taking over and upending her life. And she really does this to kind of prove something to herself. She's very successful in her marketing career. She is so confident in her career and who she is within that realm. But in her intimate and social circles in life, she's not as confident, and she feels like she needs to live up to the standards of her mom. So she kind of takes this to prove to herself that she is successful and can do this. And she starts to kind of see
her own flaws through taking over this bed and breakfast. She is also getting to know bits and pieces of her mom through different characters who knew her before she died. And honestly, this brings up a lot for Michelle because it just highlights all of the ways that her mom was not this mom with her while she was growing up. And that's so difficult. That's so difficult to face. And I really relate to Michelle in that way, and I really like Michelle's character because she isn't the typical like sunshiny character. She's very reserved, but she's also quite funny, but sometimes can be really serious, and she's very matter of fact. But she feels like she's living in constant comparison of her mother, and like she is in this town, she is, because this bed and breakfast was her mother, and people were very, very connected to her mother. But she's just feeling all of these feelings, like seeing a different side of your mother through other people can feel so heartbreaking when you didn't feel connected to your mother to begin with. In a lot of ways, it's really heartbreaking to see Michelle kind of going through this and trying to reckon with the mom that she grew up with and the relationship she had with her mom to the mom that she is discovering through different people. But she also kind of mentions that it was very obvious that her sister was going to inherit the bed and breakfast because her sister and her mom had a very different relationship. And that's also very relatable because what's the saying, like, you can grow up in the same household as somebody, but they had different parenting experiences. That's just very much what Michelle is going through. Meanwhile, there's Cliff. He's the male main character. And like I said, he's going through a divorce. He's raising his children, but you also find out that his wife actually left the family to go live in the big city and start a career in the big city. And he has full custody of them. And his oldest daughter has a very similar relationship to her mother as Michelle had to her mother. And I actually really like this dynamic because Michelle, I think, can heal through this, but also I'm forgetting the oldest daughter's name. I feel like her name is Jessica or something like that. She also is able to heal by relating to Michelle and like having this relationship with Michelle. So as you can see, these two characters are kind of going through these really big and separate things. And I think that has been a part of why it doesn't feel like a romance. It feels like two people going through separate things, and they happen to be in proximity to one another, and they happen to be helping each other out in a way that like organically happens. And I do like all of that, but chemistry wise, and if I'm rooting for the couple, I don't know. But I like these two individually. I really enjoy them individually. I like when they talk and like have moments, but I really like Michelle's dynamic with his two daughters, to be honest with ya. Like obviously that's going to create a dynamic between the two of them that probably feels more romantic because he's like, wow, this woman is really good with my children. But it almost feels healing for both the daughters and Michelle to form this relationship, especially because Cliff's oldest daughter is going through a lot of what Michelle is going through, and they relate in so many ways because of that. And so I don't know, I just like the dynamic of her with the daughters more than I care about her and Cliff. But I really like Cliff and I really like Michelle, but I don't necessarily care if they get together at this point. I just want her to be besties with the daughters. So I don't know, I probably have like 3.5 hours if I'm basing it off of where I fell asleep. I have like 3.5 hours left of the audiobook. So that's a good amount of time to still like fall in love with this relationship possibility. Because I do like the way that they interact with each other, but it's not my favorite because basically their whole romance is kind of blooming around the fact that Cliff is around helping her get better with customer service. He witnesses this interaction that she has with a patron at the B&B, and he's like, that was terrible. And she's like, what do you mean? I answered their question. And he goes, yeah, I guess. Sure you did. And he's like, you need to get better with people. So they kind of have these interactions where he's helping her with customer service, but also she's very stubborn and she doesn't want him to bake the biscuits or the cinnamon rolls that they serve in the morning. And so she's like, if my mom can do it, I can do it. And he keeps tasting them and being like, these are disgusting. And she's like, well, I'm not gonna let you bake them, so you better teach me. So now he's also teaching her how to bake. So it's like those dynamics should be really swoon worthy, but for some reason I'm not like really swooning, you know? So that's where I'm at with that. Anyway, it's like 8:30, so I'm gonna take my morning walk. I'm gonna do some stretches, and then I'm going to probably clean up the house and take a shower. I actually figured it out. I was on chapter 10. I slept through 4 chapters. However, I'm back to chapter 14, and I have to say, in the last 4 chapters, things have changed for me. Things have changed a little bit. I'm starting to appreciate their relationship. I'm starting to root for them. I am. The fact that he keeps trying to find her perfect baked good, her favorite baked good, so that he can make it for her. It just speaks to me. But yeah, I'm happy to say that I'm liking this relationship more. I just Instacarted some groceries because I woke up with all of the intentions in the world to be very productive today. I was going to go to Michael's. I was going to go to the grocery store. I was going to start laundry and clean this house. I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to, and I'm not going to. Although I may start laundry because we do have piles and piles of laundry. So I should start it. I should go check if somebody's using the laundry machine because I do have shared laundry. But I am gonna wait for my Instacart to get here because my Instacart person is like nearby. I am gonna make soup. I got ingredients for soup. I'm gonna make cookies, and I'm starting bread. I'm doing all 3 of those things. So that's what I'm gonna be productive with. And then I'm gonna go start my laundry. Maybe, if someone's not in there. It's Monday, so like hopefully everyone's at work. Oh my god. So Cliff blindfolded Michelle to surprise her with something, and she's like, is this a surprise? And he goes, yeah, why else would I blindfold you? And in her mind she goes, well, I can think of a few things. Michelle. Good morning, friends. It's Tuesday. It's technically another day off for me, but I think I'm gonna end the vlog here because I finished If It Makes You Happy. And I really spoke too soon about this book because I ended up loving it. I ate up the last 60% of this book. Like, I loved it so much. I'm gonna be really honest, when I was starting this vlog, I was in the midst of feeling like I was gonna go into a reading slump. I had started like 5 different books with the hopes that one of them was gonna stick. Nothing was sticking. Things that I'm really excited about just like didn't want to pick them up. And so usually contemporary romance is the solution for me with that. It's a really great palate cleanser. Usually I can just like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel I don't need to pay too much attention to it in the beginning, and then all of a sudden I'm super into it. And I think that's what was happening with this one, where it probably started off fine. I was just in a bad mood, and I also was feeling very slumpy. So I think I wasn't connecting in the beginning, or maybe I just didn't connect in the beginning. I don't really know. I am very dictated by my moods though. So I have a feeling it was very much my mood. However, once I broke like the 40% mark of this, I realized that I just really wanted to listen to it, and I really liked these characters. I really liked this narration. We had a few audiobook narrators that I don't feel like I've listened to before, and I just really enjoyed them a lot. The way I would describe this book is it is Gilmore Girls if Lorelai were a single dad named Cliff. Cliff truly is the Lorelai of this book. But I wouldn't necessarily say that Michelle is the Luke. I do think that she's also in ways a Lorelai, because she's the one that's running this bed and breakfast and she's really learning about it. However, she is the more sullen one. If you want to call this a grumpy sunshine, she's more of the grumpy one, but I don't actually think this is grumpy sunshine in the way that most people would expect grumpy sunshine. She's a little bit more sullen, but also she is dealing with the death of her mother. She's dealing with the divorce of a man who really didn't care for her. And she's running this business that she feels she doesn't belong at, that she doesn't think she's good at, and she doesn't think her mother wanted her to even have. So to say that she's grumpy, I think is a stretch. I just think life is really lifing for her. Whereas Cliff, he just takes everything with a grain of salt. Even when he's going through really hard times, he still has that like upbeat attitude, and he's very silly, and he calls himself the class clown. I really, really liked their dynamic, and I like actually when the guy is kind of golden retriever-y, because it's just more fun that way. I don't know. It's a lot more fun for me. I do like a grumpy man. Don't get me wrong, but something about a golden retriever just hits a little bit different when they're falling in love, because they always fall first. And he just, you know, I love a man who worships the woman that he falls in love with, or really just the person that he falls in love with. I love that. So this book just worked for me in all ways, and I especially think what I was talking about previously, where I love the dynamic between Michelle and Cliff's daughters, that just continues to get better and better and better. Cliff and Michelle, oh my God. They grew on me. They grew on me so much. And by the end, I definitely changed my sentiment about liking them separately and not caring if they get together. No, they needed to get together. My battery died in the middle of me filming that. Anyway, all I was saying is that I really loved it in the end, and I'm definitely gonna go buy a copy. I need it on my shelves. I love getting my trophies. This is something I definitely see myself rereading, and I'm also very excited because there's a heavy hint that 2 of the sisters in here are going to have love stories. And by that, I mean our main character, Michelle's sister, and Cliff's sister. They're gonna have love stories. So this is definitely gonna be a series, an interconnected series, which I'm excited about, because as much as I did love the town dynamic, and it definitely was giving Gilmore Girls small town, if that's what you're looking for, you don't necessarily have a ton of interactions with the entirety of the town. Like, I feel like with Gilmore Girls, the thing that's so charming about that show is everyone has, for the most part, a pretty well fleshed out personality and storyline. Like, all of the characters are present in every episode. Something is going on with every character, which is obviously much easier to do in a television show than a book, especially a contemporary romance book about 2 people getting together. I understand that. But I do think that we only really got that with a handful of characters. So I'm curious about when we move into more within this town, if we're gonna start seeing more from the town folk in this universe or not. I don't know, because the couple in the next book that I'm so sure is going to be the couple in the next book, we see them often enough. Like, we see them often enough to care about them, but not too often to where like they're constantly around. So that means that they're interacting with other people. So I'm excited to like get to know whoever they're interacting with that isn't just Cliff and Michelle. But I will also be very excited to see Cliff and Michelle. Also, I think that it being set in the 90s was really fun because there was a lot of callbacks to the 90s in ways. Like, it was so subtle though, because there would be moments when she would say something, when the author would say something like she was wearing X, Y, and Z outfit, or they were watching a VHS tape of X, Y, and Z, or they were talking about new release movies at the time. And it was in such a subtle and seamless way that you didn't always get knocked over the head with the fact that this was set in the 90s. And at times you could totally forget that it was set in the 90s, which I think makes a really great book, because too many pop culture references really weighs down a book for me, and I start to very quickly lose enjoyment. But she did it in such a subtle way to remind you that we were in the 90s. And I don't know, just something about the time period. It felt really fun and it felt really nostalgic. And I really enjoyed the fact that it was so reminiscent of a lot of the 90s rom-coms that we've seen over the years and that I loved, you know, growing up. Also, the last thing that I'll gush about is this book actually made me laugh out loud a few times. I don't often laugh out loud at books that are considered rom-coms, but this one actually made me laugh out loud a few times. And that was really unexpected because it's not really marketing itself as this like super funny book. There is immediately pretty intense things that these characters are going through, like I said before, with the divorce and the loss of a parent, etc. But Cliff and like other characters have such great humor, and Michelle also starts to show this humorous side of herself, like very sarcastic and dark sarcasm, that I just appreciated, and I found myself laughing out loud unexpectedly. So that was really fun. Anyway, I got so much done yesterday, which I didn't think was gonna happen because I was really struggling in the morning. The depression was hitting hard. The want to just lay in bed was hitting really hard, but I ended up getting some Patreon stuff done. I did laundry. I did do my laundry, and I showered, and I made soup, a bulk soup at that, so I don't have to really cook that much this week, which thank God, because I'm sick of it. And I made 2 baked goods, and I finished an audiobook. So this weekend was a success. Wow, I can't say success. So this weekend for me was a success. So I hope you enjoyed spending the weekend with me. It was short and sweet, but I enjoyed hanging out with you. And if you want to leave an emoji down below, feel free to leave any baked good down below, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, friends.